It's Jaxson Dart versus Drake Maye for some Monday Night Football action. Of course, we got to get into the storylines ahead of this primetime matchup with Taylor Cowles, beat reporter for the CLNS Media Network. Taylor, you're also the co-host for the Patriot Past podcast. Say that 3 times. Appreciate you hopping on with this, man. We got a little primetime action. Jaxson Dart versus Drake Maye. Anybody and everybody who watched Hard Knocks last year knows that Joe Schoen and the Giants wanted Drake Maye at number 3, but Patriots weren't playing ball. So it looks like they have their Drake Maye and Jaxson Dart. You've watched Drake Maye the last, year and a half now. Do you see any similarities in their game? And what was the moment, or when was that moment when you knew Drake Maye was him?
I would say for Drake Maye was last year against the Rams. There was this one play where they blitzed him and you saw him really kind of like a veteran buying time, sliding back into the pocket and then firing with the rusher right in his face to convert on 3rd down. Because with Jaxson Dart and Drake Maye, we all know they're super athletic. Yeah. These guys are exciting to watch because of the big play potential and the ability to make things happen when the structure of the play breaks down. But I will say with Drake Maye, the one thing that now he's in year 2, so Jaxson Dart obviously is a rookie. Drake Maye last year was not the same pocket passer he is this year, where he still showed the poise, the ability to navigate despite not having a ton of experience as a college starter. But this year, you're seeing him transition up into the pocket when there's rushers. So instead of trying to drop his eyes and make something happen just with his legs, he's actually making sure to extend the play as long as possible and throw downfield to maximize those opportunities. And he'll run still, like he'll tuck it and make things happen with those legs. But you see that he really is prioritizing being a pocket passer. And I know Brian Burns mentioned that maybe Drake Maye's a little too poised in the pocket there, which I will admit was a problem. I think with Drake and Jaxson, you do see them have a tendency to hold on to the ball for a long time because they're learning what they can and can't get away with, right? You want them to be able to still play to those playmaking instincts while learning those lessons. But in the past 3 to 4 weeks, I do feel like Drake Maye has done a better job getting the ball out, capitalizing when there's open receivers earlier in the play, and not taking unnecessary sacks and hits. So I feel like with Jaxson Dart, that's probably the next step in his evolution. But still, what you're seeing right now for a first-year quarterback who obviously isn't in the best situation, very exciting for Giants fans.
So Jaxson Dart, first game back from the concussion clear protocol. Do you think the Patriots defense can hold up against the youngster?
I do. Honestly, I think the Patriots have done a pretty solid job when it comes to keeping those mobile and athletic quarterbacks inside the pocket. Now, that said, the Patriots are down Milton Williams. They lost Kyrus Tonga, who's more of a run defender, but did show promise as a pass rusher as well in limited opportunities. And on the edge, Harold Landry, who's been one of their primary defensive linemen, he's been pretty banged up, and he is questionable entering this game. So if they're missing Milton Williams and Harold Landry, I might be a little bit more worried about keeping Jaxson Dart contained, because that is going to be a big challenge. But they do have some athletes up front, and the biggest thing for me is going to be making sure that you are, as Bill Belichick used to say, getting the F back, one of his Bill Parcells-isms, and making sure you're not letting Jaxson Dart take one over the top on you, which the Patriots have done a pretty solid job of. But obviously, it's a prime time game. The Giants had a little bit of extra time to prepare for you, so you got to make sure you're on your P's and Q's.
All right, and the Patriots are going to also have to prepare for a new guy that are going to be calling plays on defense. You got offense coordinator Josh McDaniels versus new Giants D coordinator Charlie Bullen, or Chuck Bullen is what they like to call him. How do you think McDaniels is going to attack the Giants defense with the coordinator that's calling a defense for the first time? Do you think they're prepared for that?
Yeah, Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff have acknowledged that we don't necessarily know what we're going to get. They're not going to throw out their entire defensive system, but we've seen they may call some things we're not expecting. Maybe they turn up the heat more than we've seen. I know the Giants like to rush 5 a lot, get some of those one-on-one matchups, but last year the Patriots struggled against cover 0 or all-out blitz looks where there's no deep safety and the quarterback's trying to get the ball out quickly. So maybe the Giants try to attack there, but I would expect the Patriots to try to run the ball as much as humanly possible in this game. keep the pace of the game alive, take time off the clock, and make sure that you're the ones dictating, because this Patriots ground game hasn't been perfect, and now they've lost Will Campbell, their left tackle, and Jared Wilson, their left guard. So some big holes on the offensive line. But I would think, based on what the Giants have done this season, you'd rather try to run on them than drop back and let them tee off on the passer. So taking advantage and staying on schedule, running the ball up the middle, maybe something outside as well on some toss plays. The Giants have had some trouble defending those. And then in the pass game, last week, the Patriots wide receivers, they made some big plays, but they were pretty quiet. This Giants cornerback group, Cordell Flott, has been very impressive. I got to give the young man his flowers, and Andrew Phillips has been competitive, but this is a group that I think the Patriots won't be afraid to throw on, so I would expect quite a bit of throws to the outside, and if they're going over the middle, I think it's going to be on crossing routes to Demario Douglas and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and I think Hunter Henry could really hurt this Giants defense. Tight ends have really gotten off against this defense, especially against that second level, those linebackers. So that's something I'm personally keeping my eye on, because like you said, Cordell Flotty, contract year, he's outplayed expectations this year, and he's really been someone that's been fun to watch, his growth. But let's go back a couple of weeks, because Cam Newton, everybody knows Cam, called the Patriots fool's gold. Everyone was talking about that. The Giants are 2-10, Patriots are 10-2. The Giants do have a tendency to play a lot of good teams close. Does it smell like a primetime trap game to you?
I think it does, and a big part of that, I will say, is the injuries for the Patriots. Like I just mentioned, they're missing their left tackle and Will Campbell, their left guard and Jared Wilson, and those two guys are rookies, but they were playing some solid ball, building chemistry, and also bringing elite athleticism at both of those spots. So that's not going to be an easy thing for the Patriots to just replace, even though they've got some pretty solid veteran depth. And then on the defensive side of the ball, again, no Milton Williams, potentially Harold Landry. Even if he plays, he's going to be banged up. So with the Patriots, they're not going to have their bye week until after this game. They are banged up. It does start to have that kind of recipe and feel like they could finally hit a wall. And it feels like, while they have found ways to win, and you have to give them credit for that, it feels like at some point that bill's going to come due, and they're going to end up losing one of these games that they play close. And like you said, the Giants have been very competitive in a lot of their games. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots do end up losing this one at home, because they do have a lot of injuries and they are banged up, and they might be running out of gas because they played now 12 consecutive games, and the Giants are a good team. I think they've scored almost as many touchdowns as the Patriots, and this defense, while obviously, you fire Shane Bowen because they weren't able to close out some games, you got new leadership, so that could make the difference.
Question, because these are two franchises that have a lot of history together. You've been on the beat. You saw them transition from having the season under Gerard Mayo to now Mike Vrabel coming in and going back to the Patriot way. Give some good news to the Giants. Do you see some Patriot-like-ishness in the Giants? Like, do you think that they're one leader away, one great head coach away from really turning this franchise around?
Absolutely. I mean, the Patriots last year, there was a lot of discussion before they drafted Drake Maye of, do you invest in the quarterback when you have so many other spots that you need to fill? I think the Giants are probably further along than when the Patriots were at that point. But I was thinking, yeah, the quarterback solves a lot of your problems, because if you got that guy, a competent offensive coordinator who can develop him, and then most importantly, that head coach who can not only make sure the quarterback is able to reach his potential by surrounding him with good support, but also having a strong defense, special teams, and just making sure it's an organization that's bought in and plays a tough, respectable brand of football. And the Giants, we've seen it. Jaxson Dart has the talent now. Make sure you continue to build around him and get that head coach who can get everybody fired up, get the fan base excited, get the players excited, and give them a vision that they can follow, while of course continuing to bolster a lot of important parts and making sure the front office is where it needs to be as well. So I would not be surprised to see the Giants looking very different last year, but you got to nail that head coach. You might have the quarterback, but make sure the leader of your organization has the kind of vision that's going to get everybody on board.
Taylor, man, this was fun, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Got to get you on in the offseason, man.
Yes, please. Would be happy to. Thank you for having me.